Hello, this is Ramzi from ACDC Marine Inc. Today we are going to show you the difference between two different type of gauges. Both of them are oil pressure gauges, both of them 0 to 80 psi, but one of them is a VDO style, which it means European ohmage, 10 to 180 ohm. Then the other one, it is American made gauge over here also, and it has the opposite, which is 240, 33 ohm. How do you know the difference between both gauges? It's very straight, simple. If we take this gauge over here and we have 12 volt, for example, and this is my 12 volt over here. Now, any gauge in the world has three different terminals in the back of it. The first one, which is they call it ground, so we are going to attach a ground over here into the back of the gauge. Then it has something say I, which is for ignition. So we have I for ignition. Now this gauge is ready to go. How are we going to test it? With the most simple thing you can ever have. Regular, cheap, or light tester. A light tester with a light bulb on it. Now what you do is you put the light bulb on the negative side. And the other side of the light bulb, of course, if we touch it too hot, it will light up. But now if we touch it to where it says sensor wire or the sensor, it's only three wires, no confusion. There is black for ground, and there is red for I, which is ignition, and a sensor. Now I'm going to touch the sensor, and look what happened. The actual gauge itself, the actual lever, moved forward. That means that it is the Stewart Warner. So you have ground in the other end of this, you touch the sensor and it's going to go forward. Now we're going to test another gauge that it's a VDO ohmage. We are going to connect a gauge. This is another gauge that we also make here, and we are going to connect it to the correct wires. So we have positive and negative, and we are going to take the negative again through the same thing and attach it to the sensor wire, which it happened in this case is this wire. Now we will attach the wire to the sensor. If you notice that the actual gauge, the lever is going backwards, so it's going from high to low. The other gauge went from low to high. So from high to low, when you're connecting the gauge, that means it is a VDO style, 10 to 180 ohm. Now we're going to test both gauges and how they work. We're not going to use this light tester anymore. We're going to use the right, correct thing. I have made here a small type of switch that it has, multi-switch over here, that it has different ohmage on it. We are going to hook up one part to the ground and the other part to the sensor wire, which is this wire over here. Now at 0 volt, let us connect one more wire, then you guys can see better, which is the backlight. Now it's in 0 when it's connected. Then you have 10 ohm, 33 ohm, 48 ohm, 75 ohm, 90 ohm, 120 ohm, 150 ohm, and it's keep going all the way to 180 ohm, which is touched down over here to 75 psi or 80 psi. That's also 0 to 5 bar. That's European reading. So this gauge over here, the lower the resistance, the less the reading, or the lower the lever toward the 0. We are going to take that connection into the other unit. We have the same thing, the positive and the negative, and we are going to go to this gauge, connect negative to negative and positive to the ignition, and there's nothing to worry about, that's just only 12 volt. And we're going to connect the resistor box over here into the sensor wire. Now we are in 0 ohm. The actual gauge needs 233 ohm to be at 0. And the lower the ohmage, the higher the PSI. So these gauges over here at work, that's why they call it 240-33. So it starts at 240, or actually 240 ohm, you would read exactly 0. And the ohmage, it goes down all the way to 33 ohm. That's when you read it at full 80 psi or 5 bar. That is the difference between European reading, which is 10 ohm to 180 ohm, and American reading, which is 240 to 33 ohm. Thank you for listening to us. Wish we can see you on the next gauge. AC